Deck of cards. 308. We're a little bit late. That's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab all of these requirements and I'm going to paste them right into my code editor so I don't have to keep switching back and forth. That'll be pretty nice. Let's grab this guy. Go to my editor. Oh, that's not the right thing. Okay, so I've got this deck of cars. All right.
That's impressive too.
Brain is just not functioning properly here. Okay. So I'm just going to comment this out, but we'll have it handy so that as we go through this assignment, we know exactly what we need to do. All right. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create this card class, and each card is going to have a suit, each card will have a string, and each card will have a numerical value, and then each card will have a show method. I think I'm going to skip this part here, string value. Does anyone have an issue with that part? No? Yeah, not super important, right? Okay, cool. So let's create this class. Class card. And then inside that class, how am I going to instantiate an object of this class? Using this constructor, right? Okay, so what are we going to take in? A suit. And then what else?
Value.
Yeah, I'll just call it value. I think that's solid. Alright, so inside there we'll just assign these two things to the object, right? This dot suit equals suit. This dot value equals value. Alright. Good deal. We need to have a show method. Okay, so let's put that in here. Do we need to take anything in this function? No, right? Okay, cool. So all we need to do is just log the card's information to the console. So let's just say something like console.log suit is, now let's go suit. Oh, let me show you guys this, sorry. Template strings, has anyone played with these? You have?
I didn't like them as much as at first, but I do think once you're used to them, they are time saving.
Yeah, kind of nice, right? So right inside here, if I use the dollar sign and then these curly braces, I can just put in this dot suit. Okay, and then we'll put value, same thing, this dot value. Okay, we're good there.
It's like a F string.
Yeah, it is just like an F string. The only difference is we just need to put the dollar sign in front of the curly braces.
And also those
Precisely.
are backticks instead of single quotes. That threw me off for a little bit.
Good point. Yes, they
Oh,
are
backtick.
backticks. Maybe that's not visible enough. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, but it essentially works the same way. So let's, in order to test this out, let's just create a card, and then we'll actually do the show method. Okay. So let's say const card equals new card, and we'll say the suit is hearts. Oops. Value is 5, and then let's just go card.show. Cool, and then we'll hop on over to the terminal and we'll run this with NodeMon, right? So let's go Dojo. I'm gonna try these shortcuts. Now, hey, look at that. It's kind of neat. Alright, so we're going to run deck of cars. Jeez. Deck of cars. Cool. So this is working, right? We did the show method, and then we've got our hearts and the actual numerical value. So that's cool. So we're already done with one of the classes. No problem. Let me just close this out. Any questions on that part? On creating the card class?
So you could potentially make a card of a suit that doesn't exist in this.
Potentially you could, yeah. Or if I wanted to have some kind of a check on that, I could maybe run a check inside the constructor and then throw an error, right? So yeah, that's a possibility as well. So let me just comment this out here. All right. So we're good with the card. Let's move on to the deck. So with the deck class, we've got to do some different things here. We need to have the 52 standard cards, so that's all good. We need to be able to shuffle, to reset, to deal, and return the card that was dealt. Okay, so that's just what the deal method does, right? Okay, so let's create this deck class. Class deck. Okay, and what do we want to do inside the constructor? You guys think?
Have the deck.
Have the deck. Okay, yeah, I mean, this is, remember, the class is a deck class, right? Okay. Now notice here that we have this, we're going to have to write a method called reset. What if we use that inside the constructor? Makes sense, right? Because reset means we're basically going to set the cards to this set of 52, right? All right. So I propose, let's just run that inside the constructor. So we'll just say this dot reset, and then inside the reset method, that's where we're actually going to generate all our cards.
So no attributes.
I don't know. Do you guys want to just set the cards to an empty array in here?
Or do we have to?
No, we don't really have to, but
I was just
you know, we could
wondering.
say this dot cards is an empty array, right? Or we could not. Doesn't really matter because either way, once we call this reset method, we're gonna make the cards available on the object, right?
Okay.
And we're gonna do this right inside the constructor. So when we create a new deck, it's automatically gonna have those cards.
Okay.
All right. So inside reset, we don't really need to take anything in there, right? What do you think we're gonna do at this point? What did you guys do?
Generate a deck of cards in order.
Okay, good. How?
For loop
Mm-hmm.
with two arrays, one that has the suits, or is that what they're called?
Yeah,
Hearts,
so
clubs, spades, diamonds.
let's do that. So let's set up some suits, right? Hearts.
Is it hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades? Is that like the power of them?
Depends on
Diamonds,
what game we're playing.
spades,
Technical.
Texas
Yeah.
Hold'em. It's the only game. All right, cool. So yeah, that's absolutely what we're gonna do. Is we're gonna loop through the suits, and then inside each suit, we're basically gonna go up until, since we have 13 cards, we're gonna go from 0 to 12, right? Because it'll be 0 indexed. All right, very well. So let's do a for loop here. For let I equals 0, I is less than suit. Well, I already know I have 4 suits, right? I can just hard code that guy.
So if you didn't put the empty array in the constructor,
Mhm.
would you just fill up the array and then put it into the deck at the end?
Well, again, what I was saying is that we don't really even need to do this because we're going to,
Just fill
well, we could do it in either place, right? We could do it here inside the constructor, or we could do it inside reset. I think it might be better to do it inside reset.
Let's do that.
Yeah. So let me just move this. Okay. So we're going to loop through these guys. And then we're also going to be looping through the numerical values, right? So we'll say something like for, I'm going to say let j equal 1. And then we'll say I is less than 14. Not I. Man. Oh, gosh. What would I do without you? Alright, so for each one of these, when we're inside this nested loop, we're gonna have an I, which is gonna tell us what suit we're looking at, right? That's gonna be the index in our suits array. And then our j is just gonna be the actual value of the card. Alright, so how am I gonna do this? Anna. I want to push a new card into my cards array, right? How am I going to do that? Anna?
Yeah. Sorry,
I thought you were listening to some music or
No,
something.
I'm
It's like,
thinking.
She got the generic one.
yeah.
I want to do something like, we want to construct a new card.
True. Yeah. So I've got this cards array, and I want to just push a new card into it, right? So what's the syntax that I'm going to use here? Is this big enough too?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just not sure.
Okay. Will help, Brian.
This dot card dot push.
Yes, excellent. So remember, the cards is just an array. Dot push, and then what are we going to pass in there?
New card.
A new card, right? So new card, and then what do I need to pass along to the new card? It's telling me right there I need to pass a suit and also a value, right? Okay, so how am I going to get my suit for this? Anthony.
I.
Remember, I is just an index. Suits at index of I, right? Perfect. Okay, and then my value will just be j. Okay, anything else we need to do in there? That's pretty much it, right? We just created this empty array of cards, we filled it up, now we're done. That's our whole reset method. Okay, cool. Let's test it out. So let's create a deck down here. So const deck equals new deck. And then what we want to do is we want to just console log out the cards, right? So how do I get to the cards? I can just say deck.cards. Okay, let's open up the terminal again. Oh, there we go. So we got hearts all the way up to 13, clubs all the way up to 13, and so forth, right? Does that look pretty good to you guys so far?
We don't have to use a return statement?
Inside what, the reset method?
Yeah.
Yeah, do we need to return anything from reset? It didn't specify that we do, right? Yeah, should be able to reset, but we don't necessarily have to return anything out. Yeah, so we're good. Okay, cool. So we need to be able to shuffle, and we need to be able to deal a random card. Okay. Which one of these ones do you guys want to do first?
The random, it's pretty easy if you copy and paste it from the link.
They gave you the
Random
link.
shuffle.
The shuffle is random.
Oh, the shuffle part?
Fisher Yates.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Pretty solid.
All right, let's do the deal one then. Does that sound good? All right. So let's just do deal. Deal's not going to take anything in, right? So how do I get a random card here?
So you put this outside of the for loops, the nested for loop and the one over that, and then this is still in the class, but also in the.
So this is a new method on the class, right? But it's not actually inside this reset method.
I guess what are those two closing brackets below it?
So what I was closing out the nested for loop, and then this closing brace is for the actual method, for the reset method.
Okay.
Okay, so how am I going to get a random index to pull from my deck? Pretty much the same way we were doing in the Star Wars demo, right? So let's just do something like that. We'll say const rand index equals, we'll floor it so that we automatically get an integer, right? Okay. And then I want to do math.random. And then what do I want to multiply that by?
The length of the.
52.
I guess it's whatever's left in the deck.
Yeah, whatever's left. So I guess we could shuffle if we had less than 52 cards, right? Potentially shuffle if we had 5 cards.
So the length of the deck.
I don't know. So yeah, I would probably say something like this dot cards dot length. Okay. And let's just try this out. So we'll console log our rand index. And then down here, I will comment that out. And then we'll just say log. Oh, come on. Dang it. My shortcut's not working. Deck.deal. Why am I console logging that? Come on, guys, help me out. Alright, so down here we got 35, right? Sounds about right. Right, this should work. Okay, cool. So we've got this random index. All we need to do is we need to grab the card that's at that index, right? And then I'm going to need to pull it out of the deck. Okay.
Wait, what's the 35?
I see you looking at me quizzically, Michael. So
What's the 35?
that's the random index that we
Oh,
created
that's the
up in
number.
here.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the card that we're going to remove from our cards.
And then why did you log the deal?
No, I didn't log it. I
Or you-
invoked
you
it.
invoked it, right?
Yeah, I invoked it because I just wanted to make sure we're getting a proper random
Oh.
number, right?
You commented out that deck.cards.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was just initially I wanted to show you guys, okay, we're getting all these the entire 52 card set like we wanted to. All right. Good deal. So we're getting this random index. How are we going to pull the card that's at that index?
It could be the first one or the last one.
Slice. It's like
Yeah, there are definitely some different ways of doing it, but the first thing I want to do is just get a reference to that card, right? Before I actually take it out of the...
This is stored as a variable.
Yeah, so I might say const card equals this dot cards, and then in brackets, I'm going to say rand index. Could I have done that with dot notation?
yes.
Who thinks I can do that with dot notation? Sorry.
So why do
I
you store
can't.
it?
Second guess yourself.
Why do you store it as a constant if it's? I mean, you're gonna.
Well,
you're
yeah,
gonna
that's
get
a that's a
card.
really good question. So you're kind of thinking like, well, wait a minute. Every time I deal, I don't want it to be the same index,
It's
right?
not returning the.
So
card
keep in mind, Michael, that every time this method is invoked, we're creating a brand new execution context in here. Okay. So any rand index that I create inside here will be garbage collected after that method's done running. Okay, so it's only a constant in the sense of during the execution of this function. After that, it's gone. Okay, so why doesn't dot notation work?
It's not a diction or an object.
True, but does the array have an index or I'm sorry, a property of card index? No, right? Rand index is actually a calculated value, right? This is going to give us back a number, so we have to use bracket notation. All right, very good. So let's figure out how we're gonna take this out. So what Connor was suggesting, and I like, is we could use the slice method. Have any of you guys played with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll say something like this dot cards equals this dot cards dot slice. I'm going to slice from 0 to my rand index. Notice that the actual element at rand index is not going to be included. It's exclusive of that index. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to concatenate. You guys probably haven't seen this. I'm going to concatenate the back half of the cards. Everything one after the card that we're removing, right? So then I'll say this dot cards dot slice, and then we'll start from rand index plus 1.
And
if-
inclusive then?
Which one's inclusive?
The
Slice?
start of the.
Yeah, the
Right.
start is inclusive. That's true. Okay, so if I just pass it one argument, it's going to go all the way to the end.
Did you
And
just
then, yeah,
say
this
this
dot
dot
cards
card, not
something.
slice?
Oh.
Add
Add
index. And that will return the array without that index.
No. No, if you pass in rand index like what you're saying, you would get everything, including the card that we're trying to remove, all the way to the end. You wouldn't get the two sides of it with that card excluded.
Thought I've done it before, like what I said.
Let's try it out.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, so boom. Okay, so
Me, that's only
wait, did you say splice or slice?
I don't know. Whichever one does
These
it,
two
I'm
things
gonna
are different. Yeah, you probably are. You're probably talking about splice then,
say. Okay.
because splice would actually remove it, mutates the original array.
Okay.
Slice is different in that it returns you a shallow copy. Okay, slightly different. All right, so let's stick with this for now. So let's just deal a couple cards. So at the end of this, what else do I need to do? I basically reset the cards that are in the deck to exclude that one card. But what else do I need to do? Am I done with this function now?
You need to return
I need to actually return the card, right? All right, let's do that. And then let's come down here and deal a few cards. So we'll do deck.deal. I'll just duplicate this out a few times. And then let's console log deck.cards and make sure that it's been fixed appropriately. Did anything happen here?
I was gonna ask you, is there a good way to put like a number at the start of the line so that you can just see if it has 52 cards or 50?
Oh, heart, 7 of hearts. It's gone.
7 of hearts gone? Oh yeah, there are some gone. Whoa. I thought I was seeing things for a second. Yeah, so we are seeing some missing cards, so this is
6
good.
of diamonds.
3's gone. Yeah. 6 is gone. Okay. All right, good deal. What was your question, Michael?
So when I was doing this, I was looking for what disappeared and I was logging things, but I was thinking it would be really helpful
To log the actual ones that we
like
dealt.
if you
Yeah, that probably would have made more sense.
if you did deck.deal and you put like an index on the side of how many printed out.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to actually log what we were getting back when we invoked deck.deal, right? So something like that. And then we don't necessarily, I mean, we know they're coming out now. We verified that part, but I just wanted us to see, you know, like these are the cards that we got
Oh.
dealt when we ran.
So that's what I ended up doing, and then looking for them in the deck. But I was also
Kinda
trying to put
tedious.
like 1 to 52 for each card in the deck.
Oh, okay. And what were you using that for your reset
So like
method
if
or
they,
something?
yeah, but it didn't work because if they got scrambled, then I couldn't count them like that. So I wanted them to stay like, here's the first one that got printed out.
So yeah, if they got scrambled, okay.
Then
Yeah, I
it
understand what
was
you're
the
saying.
same deal.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So we know that our deck.deal is working pretty well, right? What else do we need to create? Shuffle.
Shuffle.
All right. That should be a fun one. I think I'll just do this. I'm going to do it my own way, but you guys probably copied the Fisher Yates thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. So let's just create kind of a nested for loop. All right. We'll say for. I'm just going to say I equals 0, I less than 4, I plus plus. And then inside that, I'm going to loop through all the cards that I have in the deck at this current time. All right. So what I'm going to do is for each card, I'm going to find some other random index that I want to swap with. So then let's go for let j equal 0, j less than this dot cards dot length j plus plus. Okay, and then we can basically use this same rand index method that we used here, right? Let's just grab that guy there. So notice how this const is going to be block scoped. So it's no longer available anywhere outside that interior for loop.
Why are we running the inner loop 4 times? Like, why
You mean the outer
why
loop
do we
4
have
times?
Why do we have the outer loop? Is what I'm trying to
So the reason I'm doing the outer loop is because I want to go through my cards more than one time. If I go through them only one time, it may not be sufficiently random.
Okay. So
So,
4 has
so like if we ratchet this number way up, theoretically, like
it's more sharp.
yeah, more random, right?
We'll all end up back in the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I've got this rand index, and that's the card that I want to swap with,
I
right?
thought 4 was referring to like the suits.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay, so
Oh, I
So-
just caught up to you guys.
all right. So when we're swapping things, a lot of times we just create like a temp variable, right? So we can do that here too. We could say temp equals this dot cards at this rand index. And then I want to say something like this dot cards at j is going to, actually, did I do this out of order? Let's say this dot cards at rand index equals this dot cards at j. Does that make sense? Sort of. All right. And then we'll say this dot cards at j equals what? Temp. Okay, so that should swap them out. Does anybody have any questions about this before we actually test it out? What's the outer loop for? Is that pretty much making sense at this point? All right. So let's save that. Let's come down here and shuffle our deck. Whoops. Excuse me. Voice is cracking.
Growing up on this one.
I'm growing up, yeah, slowly but surely. All right, here we go. Deck.shuffle. And then let's just log out deck.cards. Look at that. Those look nice and messed up, right? 3, 13, 4, 13, 12. All right.
Not shuffling.
Yeah, you want to ratchet it up a little bit?
Fine.
Let's crank it up. Let's crank it up to 10. Got to go up to 11, right? Yeah, turn it up to 11. 13, 3, 1, 10.
Yeah, that looks way more shuffling.
Okay, you naysayer. Alright, whatever. That's good enough for us, right? Alright, anything else we need to do in the deck class? I think we're pretty much good, right? Shuffle, reset, deal. Those are the main ones. Okay, cool. So we got to move on to the player class. Fair enough. Player should have a name, player will have a hand, and the player should be able to take a card, and the player should be able to discard a card. Okay? Good deal. Let me close out our terminal, and let's make this player class. Class player. Okay. Inside my constructor, what am I going to take in here? Name. Anything else? So we're not really taking anything else in, but we're just going to set an empty array to be that player's hand. The player doesn't have any cards initially when that player is created, right? Okay, so we'll just say this dot hand equals an empty array. Okay, and let's come down here. We need to be able to take a card and to discard a card, so that's it. All right, how do we want this take method to be? Do we want this to accept something in the argument there?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too. You guys down with that? The take method will actually accept a deck. And then inside here, what are we going to do? So we want to add a card from the deck to this player's hand, right? How do we do that? Anna, I'm coming back to you because this is kind of like when we were adding cards as we were creating the deck, right? So this time we're adding a card to the hand. So how do we do that?
Okay, so it's gonna be const. This dot.
This dot.
Round.
You are on the right track. Yes, good.
Okay, wait. Explain. We again are.
So our intention here is the take method is going to take a card from the deck
Yeah.
and then add it to the player's hand. And again, we're already accepting a deck as an argument here to the method.
This dot. Wait, can we just say no? We can't do that yet. Not sure.
All right, little help, Anthony?
And
Hands. He was holding up his hand. That's good. All right, and then what do we want to do there? So we got this dot hand.
we're gonna add cards to it.
Yeah, so we're going to push to it, right? And then what are we going to push to this?
Invoke the deal function.
We will invoke the deal method, right? So we'll say deck.deal.
Oh, what's the? So we call them methods in Python. That's not a function.
Methods are functions that belong to a class.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter what language.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
class.
You'll see this used across languages, right? Method. Good deal. So let's test this out. So we're going to create a player down here. Let's see. How about who wants to be a player? Who's a playa? Ryan, you're a playa. Equals new player. Whoops. And I'll call you Mr. Billings. Right? Okay, cool. So we want Ryan to take a card from the deck that we created up above, right? Okay, so let's say Ryan.take, and then we'll pass in that deck that we created somewhere up in here. See this deck that we were shuffling and so forth? All right. And then after we have Ryan take a card, let's just console log out his hand, right? So say Ryan.hand, save that, take a quick look at it. So this is what Ryan's hand looked like so far. You can see we've got this array and we have one card in it. All right. And then if I have him take again, so I can just duplicate this a couple times, his hand now has 3 cards in it.
It's not a good hand.
What is it?
10 of diamonds.
10 of
three
diamonds,
clubs,
you're
five
close.
of diamonds.
Yeah, you're all over the place, man.
Yeah.
I shuffled it well.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So the only other thing that we need to do is discard, right? Does it need to be random? No, right? Does it? Does anyone know?
I thought it'd be harder
It
to
sounds
choose
like-
which card. you
yeah.
had.
Well, I mean, you could just choose an index of your hand, like pass it into the.
Yeah, I like that. In fact, I think I've done that before. So let's do that. So we'll say discard will actually take some index. Just taking an index. And then what if the index was greater than the number of cards? Do we want to like throw an error or something like that?
Validations.
So if index is greater than this dot hand dot length minus 1, then we would throw an error. Throw new error. Hey, dummy. Right?
Can we like insert a Mr. T voice that does that?
A Mr. Yeah, that's awesome.
We should also check if the index is less than 0.
Oh yeah, okay. Or yeah, let's do that. So or index less than 0. Okay. So do we want to test our air throwing here? Our air throwing ability? So down here we'll just comment this guy out and we'll say Ryan.discard -5. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh, we crashed. It threw new air. Hey, dummy.
Yeah.
Sweet. It's working. All right, cool.
My mom calls me the same thing. So.
Really? Okay. Nice. Not trying to get under your skin or anything, right? Okay, cool. So we got some little air handling here, and then let's just grab the card that's at this index, because that's the one that we want to remove from his hand, right? So we'll say const card equals this dot hand, and then we'll put in the index. Okay. Now I can pretty much do the same thing that I did in the when we were dealing, right? I can take those two halves of the array minus the one that we're taking out and kind of sandwich them together using concat. Okay. So let's say this dot hand equals this dot hand dot slice, and I will go from 0 all the way up to the index, and then I'm just going to concatenate this dot hand dot slice from index plus 1. Okay. Now what else do I need to do? Same kind of situation that we had with the deal method. VS Code's telling us that variable hasn't been used. So what do we have to do with it? Now let's use it, right? I mean, we created it for a reason. So what do we want to do at the end of this method? Let's return it. Yeah, let's return the card.
Oh, I didn't do that.
You didn't return the card? Oh no.
Kept it for later games.
All right. So let's just discard. Bless you. Let's do this like twice. Actually, wait. Let's console log it, right? So we see what we're getting back. Okay. Boom, boom. Delete these guys. Didn't I change the index on that? What happened?
Force restart.
Wait. Was our air handling wrong? Because he took 3 cards and then we discarded 3 times, right? Wouldn't that leave him with an empty hand?
Oh, because we do one
Index
each
of 1.
time? Don't we need to do 0 each time?
Yes, we do.
Or 0 on the last one.
Yeah, let's just change that. Sorry. 0. Okay. Okay, cool. So all I was doing is I was logging out the ones that we were discarding. Right? So I logged this, this, and this. So now if we log his hand, we would expect it to be completely empty, right? Orion dot hand. Sure enough, empty array. So he discarded everything he had. Cool. You guys feel pretty good about this? I'm pumped. Let's play some cards. I don't want to make the game though. Let's not do that. Never mind. Let's play some Pong.
Very good.
All right. Any last minute questions before I stop the video?
Any last words?
I had a question when I asked outside the video.
Yeah? Are you embarrassed? No, I'm kidding.
Well, it's, I just wanted to ask, you can describe that slice method because I
Oh yeah, yeah.
don't understand.
All right, that's fine. Yeah.